A mother broke her last piece of bread in the snow. Then a rancher quietly stepped in. A frontier memory. I don't remember the exact year. Somewhere in the late 80s, I think. Maybe 87, maybe 88. The winters blowed together back then, and not in a gentle way. What I remember is the cold, the kind that gets into the boards of a barn and makes them crack at 2 in the morning like a rifle shot. That kind. I was riding back from Calloway's place, had gone to collect on a debt he owed my employer, a man named Holt who I didn't much care for but worked for all the same. Holt wasn't cruel, exactly. He just didn't notice people. There's a particular kind of damage a man like that can do, and I'd already seen enough of it by then. The road that cut back toward town ran along the old Mercer fence line. I knew it well, rode it maybe 100 times. But that afternoon, there was something on the side of it I hadn't seen before. A woman, sitting in the snow. Not fallen, not injured, or not obviously, just sitting, with 4 children around her. The oldest couldn't have been more than 7 or 8. The youngest was wrapped against her chest, bundled in a piece of brown wool that had seen better years. The child wasn't moving much. I pulled up. She didn't look at me right away. She was looking at something in her hands. A piece of bread. Dark, dense. The kind you make when flour is low and you're stretching it with whatever else you can find. She broke it. Careful. Slow. 4 pieces. She gave 1 to each. Child without keeping any for herself. Then she just sat there with her empty hands in her lap. I sat on my horse and watched that and didn't say anything for a moment. Most folks, when they tell a story like this, they say they knew right away what to do. I didn't. I sat up there on that horse, and I thought about Holt, and the time I was already behind, and the fact that my saddlebag had maybe 3 days of my own food in it. I thought about all of it. If you've ever been in a moment like that, where doing the right thing cost you something you didn't want to give up, then stay with me. I think you'll know what I mean by the end. I got down. She looked up then. She had dark circles under her eyes, and her coat was too thin. Not a traveling coat, a working coat, meant for morning chores, and then back indoors. She'd been outside in it too long. You all right? I said, which was a stupid question. I knew it when I said it. We're fine, she said. Thank you. The oldest girl was watching me, not afraid, exactly, measuring. Kids that age learn fast how to read strangers, whether to trust them or not. She hadn't decided yet. Where are you headed? I asked. The woman looked down the road, then back at me. My husband's people, they have a place about 12 miles north. 12 miles, in that cold, with 4 children. And no horse, no wagon, no food left that I could see. Where's your husband? I said. She didn't answer that, just pulled the youngest tighter against her chest. I understood. You learn when not to push. Her name was Eleanor. She told me that, after a while, when she decided I wasn't going to make things worse for her. The children's names I won't say. Here. It doesn't feel right, somehow. But they were real children. The kind who remember things. The oldest girl, the one who'd been watching me, she came and stood near my horse eventually. Didn't touch him, just stood near him. The way children do when they want something, but won't ask for it. His name's Grady, I told her. She looked at me. That's a funny name for a horse. He came with it, I said. I didn't choose it. She thought about that. I didn't choose my name either, she said. I don't know why I remember that, but I do. I had 3 days of food in my saddlebag. Hardtack, dried meat, 2 apples that had gone a little soft. I'd been rationing it because I knew the road back was long, and I'd skipped. Breakfast at Callaway's, didn't trust anything in that house. I thought about all of that. I did. I want to be honest about it. Then I got the bag down, and I set it on the ground in front of Eleanor, and I told her to take what she needed. She didn't move right away. She looked at the bag, and then at me, and I could see something working in her face, a particular kind of pride that comes from a long time of not taking anything from anyone. I knew that look. I'd worn it myself. I'm not offering charity, I said, which was a lie, but it was the kind of lie that let her accept it. I've got supplies at the station. This'll just go to waste. She knew I was lying. I think we both knew. She left her hair and looked back for a moment. There was no way I was going to leave him there. I won't pretend that was a purely decent thought. Part of it was practical. I didn't want to ride that road in 3 weeks and find something frozen that I'd ridden past. Part of it was that I was already behind on the job, and adding more miles didn't seem to change much. And part of it was that oldest girl who had gone quiet, and the way children go quiet when they've learned that being noticed isn't always safe. I put the 2 younger children up on Grady with me. They weighed almost nothing, and we walked. Eleanor carried the youngest. The oldest girl walked beside us without being told to, without complaining. Not once. That was AOG afternoon. The wind picked up around the 3rd mile. The sky went the particular gray that means it's deciding whether to snow or just threaten. It threatened. Eleanor didn't talk much. When she did, it was practical, asking how far, whether. The road forked. How long until dark? She wasn't weak. I want to be clear about that. She was exhausted down to her bones, and she was still thinking clearly and making decisions. And keeping track of her children. She'd been doing it alone for a while. The Mercer homestead was a real place. I'd heard of it, never been out there. Came up the lane and the house lights showed through the trees. I heard Eleanor breathe out in a way that was hard to listen to, like she'd been holding something in since before I met her. A man came out of the house, older. Her husband's father, it turned out. He came down the steps and stopped when he saw us. And then he just stood there, looking at her, looking at the children. He didn't say her name. He didn't ask what happened. He just held out his arms. The oldest girl, the measuring one, she ran to him. I stayed on the road, held Grady's reins, and looked at the trees. There's a kind of grief that looks like relief from the outside. I've seen it enough to know the difference. What I was looking at wasn't purely one or the other. Something had been lost before I ever found them on that road. The old man knew it. Eleanor knew it. The children probably knew it. In the wordless way children know things before they have language for them. A man don't always need to understand what he walked into. Sometimes it's enough to have walked someone through it. The old man turned and looked at me after a while. He said, "Come inside." I said I had to get back. He nodded. He understood, or he didn't. Either way, he nodded. Eleanor came to the fence. She handed me back the saddlebag, empty now, or near empty. She'd folded it careful, which I noticed. "I don't know your name," she said. I told her. She said it once, quiet, like she was putting it somewhere she'd keep it. I rode back in the dark, didn't make the station until close to midnight. Holt wasn't happy about the time, and I told him the road had been rough, which wasn't entirely wrong. I never saw Eleanor again. I heard some things later, through the way news traveled in those years, that she stayed on with the old man, that the children grew, that the oldest girl, the one who'd stood by my horse and told me she hadn't chosen her name, that she married a cattleman over near Abilene and had a family of her own. I don't know if any of that's true. What I know is this: when I close my eyes and go back to that road, I see her hands breaking that piece of bread, 4 pieces, nothing left over. Some things you carry, they don't leave you. They just sit there.